Sometimes in numeracy questions, there will be an extra mark added to the question. That usually means that you need to convert from one SI measurement to another SI measurement. For example, you might be given two numbers, one of them in millimeters, one of them in micrometers, and you have to do some manipulation. The first step is always going to be to make sure that they have a common unit. So here we're going to look at how to do that. It's pretty straightforward. We are going to use the example of meters just to give a little more concrete example here. So we have the kilometer, which is 10 to the power 3 meters. We have the meter, which is just the meters, so 10 to the power 0, which is 1. We have the millimeter, which is 10 to the minus 3, micrometer, which is 10 to the minus 6, and nanometer, which is 10 to the minus 9. You'll notice that I have skipped centimeter. We're doing that on purpose for the time being. So we're just going to ignore that completely. And by getting rid of the centimeter, it makes the pattern a lot more obvious. Every time you move up or down in this table, you are going to have to multiply or divide by 1,000. So really, really simple. If you are going from the bigger things like a kilometer down to smaller things, then you are going to multiply by 1,000 at every step. And if you're going in the opposite direction, you are going to divide by 1,000 at every step. For example, if I was going from millimeters to meters, I would divide by 1,000. If I was going from micrometers to nanometers, so if I was going from here to here, I would multiply by 1,000. And if I was going from kilometers to millimeters, I would multiply by 1,000 to get to meters, and then multiply by 1,000 again to get to millimeters. Okay. Another way of doing that is by looking at the standard form. Looking at some examples here, going from 12 meters to millimeters. Well, I know that to go from meter to millimeter, I'm multiplying by 1,000. That is just one step here on my table. So I very simply just do 12 times 1,000 is going to be 12,000 millimeters. For question 2 here, I have 0.03 kilometers and I want to know how many micrometers that is. So if I start with my kilometers here, just get rid of everything, I can count how many steps of multiplying by 1,000 I need to do. So kilometer to a meter is times 1,000, meter to millimeter is times 1,000, and lastly millimeter to micrometer is times 1,000. So our answer is going to be 0.03 times 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000. We can also write that as 0.03 times 10 to the 3 times 10 to the 3 times 10 to the 3. And 10 to the 3 times 10 to the 3 times 10 to the 3 is going to be 10 to the power of 3 plus 3 plus 3. So that's going to be equal to 0.03 multiplied by 10 to the 9, which is going to be ending up 3 with 7 zeros after it. So 30 million micrometers. Last one, how many millimeters in 239,144 nanometers? This time we're starting with nanometers. We want to get to millimeters. We know if we go up, we need to divide by 1,000 each time. So to go from nano to micro, we divide by 1,000. To go from micro to milli, we divide by 1,000. So it's going to end up being 239,144 divided by 1,000 and then divided by another 1,000. We can also write that as 239,144 divided by 10 to the power 3 divided by 10 to the power 3. Dividing by 10 to the power 3 is the same as multiplying by 10 to the minus 3. So we can rewrite that as 239,144 times 10 to the minus 3 times 10 to the minus 3, which is going to be equal to negative 3 plus negative 3 is 239,144 times 10 to the negative 6. The answer is then going to be, move the decimal place 6 places. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 2.39144 millimeters. Nope, I miscounted. My bad. We're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So actually it's going to be 0.239. Silly mistake there, not counting properly. You do not have to do it this way. If you don't want to, you can simply put that into your calculator. You divide by 1,000 once, you're going to get 239.144. Divide by 1,000 again, and you're going to get 0.239144.